Today we got the coaches poll. All right, college football talk. Today we got the coaches poll, and I was actually, pretty impressed with how the Big 12 came out here. Now, there's no Big 12 team in the top 10. That should not be surprising. The ACC, we were having the discussion the other day about who is the third best conference. The ACC wants to push the tangible metrics that are out there right now, and the teams that are technically still a part of their league right now, although legally they're trying to dispute that. Florida State is in the top 10. They are at number 10. But the next team to come out of the Big 12 or the ACC is a Big 12 team in Utah, just in front of Clemson at 13. That's a lot of, I would say, a healthy amount of respect for Utah, especially with Cam Rising coming back from injury. That to me is still a question mark there. Then you've got K-State and Oklahoma State checking in back-to-back at 17 and 18. That seems about right. I've seen K-State, Oklahoma State, Utah, placed within one or two teams of each other almost every time. I feel like I've seen anybody doing a poll in this preseason so far. So that seemingly checks out. They're right in front of Miami, the next ACC team. So we're really not too far off if we're comparing the leagues and where they're at right now. And that, again, is with Florida State and Clemson, who will be at some point departing. Then we've got Arizona at number 21. Vindication for the Arizona fans who were upset at Brett McMurphy earlier today for not including Arizona in his top 25. And he gave the Big 12 a lot of respect. 5 teams in there, 3 in the top 15. But he did not include Arizona in the top 25. And then we've got Kansas at 24. And if you want to go to others receiving votes, let me pull this up here because I had spliced all that out. West Virginia, Iowa State, UCF, Texas Tech, and Colorado receiving votes. Now, I do think this is funny because Colorado received 2 votes, a grand total of 2 votes in this poll. And how much discussion have we all had about Colorado? We've heard Joel Klatt telling us that Colorado can make the playoff. There are people that get furious at you if you say, like I have been saying, like Colorado's probably a 6-6, 7-5 sort of team, which would be great and a nice step up from last year. But that's not good enough for most. Colorado is sitting here receiving 2 votes in the coaches poll. All right. Now I know you'll say, hey, John, the coaches poll, like that's fine. The coaches poll is done by a bunch of SIDs or interns or whoever, right? This is not actually the coaches that are voting in this. But, this isn't even like media folks. This is like at least a little bit closer, I guess is the point. This is a little bit closer to people that are actually out there playing the game and what they think about what's going on there. And they are saying that Colorado deserves 2 votes. Not many people with the buffs there. Cyclone Steve, I missed your super chat. Cyclone Steve, I promise I will get back to that. My fault, my friend. My fault. I scrolled past that too quickly. I apologize. So who has beef here? Does anybody in the Big 12 really have beef? I would listen to a Kansas fan being like, hey, we shouldn't be that far behind the pack, but it's splitting hairs a little bit. You're still in the top 25. I am glad to see Kansas ahead of Iowa. I think they are definitely a better team than Iowa. And good Lord, you hear a lot from Iowa fans, a little mouthy on Twitter, probably somewhat because they're talking down to who they perceive to be their little brother in Iowa State, but also just like Big 12 fans. And nothing annoys me more than hearing that. Iowa, dude, I would love nothing more than to put Iowa in the Big 12 and watch them lose games. I would love nothing more, absolutely nothing more. Maybe Penn State. Maybe Penn State I would love more, but that's about it. Certainly K-State, Oklahoma State, Utah can't have much of a beef. Arizona, probably not. You're right there. I think that's fine. West Virginia fans, I do feel like West Virginia fans will be a little bit tweaked by this. So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. West Virginia's at 33 here with their 22 votes that they are receiving. Iowa State fans probably too, because 34, 35, 36, Iowa State's checking in here at 36. Iowa State has a lot coming back, a ton of production coming back. Had a really nice season last year based on circumstance, especially. But I do wonder, and I know, like I will take flack from Iowa State fans here with this take, okay? And Cyclone Steve, I hope you don't get too upset with me because I accidentally missed your super chat earlier, which I will get back to. And then I'm about to say this. Well, you guys know my Matt Campbell take. If you've watched the channel for a while, like I feel like he's a very high floor, little limited ceiling in terms of being a coach. The COVID year when a lot of stuff was wonky and Jimbo was winning and North Carolina was like at the top of the sport and you had some goofy things happening because of the pandemic. Yes, Iowa State did have arguably their best season in school history. They brought everybody back the next year and went 7-6. A lot of it feels like when Matt Campbell has the high expectations and a lot coming back, doesn't hit the ceiling, but he's always going to be higher than what you think the floor is because that's kind of who he is as a coach. I was going to add this onto it, and it came at my expense because you bet your you-know-what that I know exactly what it felt like to watch Abu Sama and Iowa State run all over my squad in the snow last year at the end of the year there. I think K-State elevated the hype machine for Iowa State by about tenfold with that game happening. And not just because K-State lost the game and gave up the most explosive plays I think I've ever seen a football team put out there on the field in a single game. I mean, I've been dancing around the way. It was a total ass kicking, man. I mean, it was crazy. Iowa State scored more explosive plays than I've ever seen a team uncork in a game. Not only did that happen, but it was also a snow game. So like people were tuned into it because it was a snow game. It has novelty. People love that. And so there was more eyeballs on it. There were more eyeballs on the game. And it was crazy with how Iowa State was going up and down the field. So a lot more people watched, paid attention, got excited. And I think K-State just, whatever it was, Matt Campbell having Chris Kleiman's number, some K-State defenders like Will Lee being really checked out and deciding to, Super Mario Kart mushroom push forward the guy or give him the little star where you start running twice as fast, whatever the hell that was from Will Lee last year. There's some wonky stuff going on. If it was the snow, K-State being bummed that they changed the tiebreaker rule, they weren't going to get in the Big 12 championship game, whatever it was, feels like to me that game elevated the hype a little bit too much for Iowa State. I mean, Iowa State did not have a very good performance in the bowl game, and I still just feel like they're going to be about what they always are, probably a 7-8 win team, which would put them in this spot, right? In this spot. And I know, Clone fans, I understand. K-State has lost its fair share of games to you, so I get it. What do I know? But I do kind of know what the general season usually looks like for the Clones. And I saw the other day that there was a discussion among Iowa State fans. I think it was Chris Williams, who does do a great job covering Iowa State, having the conversation. Like people would be like legitimately disappointed if they're not in the playoff this year, or was it making the Big 12 championship game? I'm pretty lofty. It just seemed like the expectations were very, very lofty. So I'm sure Iowa State fans would not take super kindly to being placed at number 36 here. But I would bet that a lot of it is based on what I said. That's kind of the view I think of Iowa State's program right now. Which is still very good. I mean, nothing to be ashamed about at all, by the way. UCF got 4 votes. Texas Tech got 4 votes. I like the upward mobility of UCF there. More so than Tech, but mainly just because I really like the quarterback at UCF. But, man, I mean, I saw the catches Micah Hudson was making. I saw that, like, reaching out, shoestring grab where somehow his fingertips stayed on the ball, and Patrick Mahomes was tweeting about it. Like, yeah, there's definitely some talent to like there. I don't know about Baron Morton at quarterback. Colorado, that's fine. Give him 2 votes for the hype machine. You got to love this. Joel Klatt said this was one of the games that would define the college football season, was Colorado-Nebraska. They got a combined 4 votes in the top 25 coaches poll. Now, polls are not the be-all, end-all. I understand, but I feel like I've made my point there on that one with the Joel Klatt thing, and did on a show when that actually happened. But anyway, for Big 12 fans, that's what you need to know about the preseason top 25 poll from the coaches anyway. It's a good sign to see that because it means we're starting to talk about actual football games here, by the way. If you're wondering the top 5, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, that seems about right. Seems about right.